Hey, what are you listening to? Huh? Oh, just a video game remix. I see. Then can I listen to it? Sure, I don't see why not. What the? This isn't a remix, this is an arrangement. Yeah. Aren't they the same thing? No! You know what? Just sit down. I don't even need to explain what I'm about to do. Well, at least I don't have to sit on the floor anymore. Oh yeah, that's right. I'm in Japan now. So tell me, what are video game music remixes if I've got it so wrong? Oi, watch your attitude. I was about to start anyways. So everyone knows what video game music is. At least I hope you do. So video game music remixes are pretty much remixes for video game music. Shocking, I know. But they come in different forms. There are the fan-made remixes and the official remixes. I want to go over both of them because they're pretty interesting to see. Arrangements are different from remixes, by the way. They're more like polished versions of a song. Like what the song was imagined to sound like if the sound chips weren't limiting. They're typically for games that came out before the GameCube or PS2 era of video games. Well, that was an awful lot of yapping you did there, but thanks for clearing that up. Now tell me about fan-made remixes. I don't really listen to them much. Really? I guess you clones have your own wills. I thought you were like an exact copy of me or something. What? So you listen to fan-made remixes? It's not that I listen to them a lot, I'm just fascinated by them, and let me show you why. So fan remixes are not uncommon. It's like some sort of reimagining done to a video game's music but done by fans. Like they clearly don't feel official, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It's as if the person who composed it is saying thanks for all the good memories you've given me, so I want to show appreciation towards you. Or something like that. What a weird comparison, but I guess I get the idea. So basically, it's like a unique spin to a song if it weren't made for a game. Well, that's one way to put it. Sometimes these songs can be better than the original, but personally, I don't prefer fan remixes over the originals. But that really does it for fan-made remixes. I see. Anyways, I'm a little more familiar with official remixes, so this won't be super hard to understand. Oh yeah? Well, did you know that there are some game soundtracks that are pretty much just remixes of past music? Yeah? I mean, isn't that pretty much what Smash's OST is? Darn, he actually knows a lot more than I thought. Well, whatever. I'm gonna talk about them anyways. So there are two types of official video game remixed music. One is typically more common where the soundtrack will include one to a couple of songs that are homages to the old song. You would see that in something like Street Fighter, many Sonic games, and even Mario Kart. Actually, Mario Kart and Sonic is a bit of an interesting case. You see, those games include the old levels that existed in their series. So instead of making new songs for them or having the same exact song from the past, they make remixed versions. With Mario Kart, I guess you could say only 2, or technically 3, games in the series have remixes to their own songs. Moving on to the next type of official remixes, they are the soundtracks where the songs are mostly remixes of old video game music. Now this is a weird one because depending on who you ask, you can get different answers. A game like Smash mostly remixes music from the series that are included in the game. There are Smash original songs, but even those get remixed. Sonic Mania and Sonic Generations are both games that also pretty much remix the old music from the series. If you couldn't already tell, these games are celebrating the games that they're representing. The music is typically very interesting to listen to, and I sometimes even prefer these versions to the original. The other versions of completely remixed soundtracks are remakes of games. Since these games are meant to make old games new, that includes the soundtrack as well. So you would typically get a game where the entire soundtrack is just remixes of the original. Again, it all comes down to personal preference for which version is better. Like personally, I prefer Persona 3's original soundtrack rather than the remixed version from Reload. But that really does it for remixes in games. Thank you for sharing that. I already knew most of that, so I don't really feel any different. What are you getting at? Well, actually, I wanted to do something different today. Every time you talk about something, I'm always the one listening. So this time, I want to do the talking for once. You're actually going to present? Go for it! Really? I thought you were gonna be hard to convince. Well, thanks for making this easy.
I want to share some games that have pretty good remixes in their soundtrack. This includes any game that remixes an old song from the series, or a game where the majority of the soundtrack is remixed music. I'll give 5 just to keep it short. To start off with number 5, I will give Under Night in Birth the spot. Why? That game doesn't remix the entire soundtrack, you must be asking? Well, that was to test if you were actually listening a couple of seconds ago. The reason I'm giving this game number 5 is because you may know a certain song called Blood Drain Again. This song alone is a pretty legendary song and is a remix of a song from Melty Blood called Blood Drain. The original is fine, but nothing sounds more hype than this remix. There's another remix song in this game, but it's just alright. For number 4, why not Sonic Generations? Look, I know Sonic Mania has an amazing soundtrack and you don't need to tell me about it. I love that OST and it was hard choosing between the two for this spot. But with Sonic Mania, you only get remixes for the classic titles from Sonic 1 all the way to Sonic 3 and Knuckles. That also includes Sonic CD. But with Sonic Generations, the OST isn't limited to the classic games. So you have your fair share of modern games there too, at least up until Sonic Colors. There are a lot of hits, but some misses. But overall, a great OST. At number 3, you can't go wrong with Katamari Forever. The soundtrack does consist of originals, but for the majority of the tracks, it's mainly remixes from the older games. The game is meant to be a celebration of the Katamari series, and the music is no exception. Just listen to the sexy synth version of Katamari on the Swing and the original. Not only does the remixed version add more to the original, but it also acts as a tribute to Namco in a way. I'll put Super Smash Bros. Ultimate at number 2. A game that includes about 1,000 songs, originals and remixed? But remember, this video is about remixes, and for this game's remixes, they're pretty great. There are so many where I love just casually listening to it outside of the game. And there are others where I prefer the remixes over the original. There are so many bangers, but not all of them are hits. So that's the reason why I didn't include it as number 1. Finally, for number 1, I give the title to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. You may have heard that there was a DLC pack given to this game not too long ago and it has concluded pretty recently. In the DLC, there were mainly remakes of old racetracks, and with them came remix versions of their song. Mario Kart has included retro tracks since Mario Kart DS, or if you want to be technical, Mario Kart Super Circuit. But other than DS and Super Circuit, none of the songs were ever remixed. And to be fair, both of those games aren't really remixing the song, but rather making it work in their respective hardware since it can't be as high quality as the other games, at least in terms of Mario Kart DS. But Mario Kart 8 was the first Mario Kart to actually breathe new life into the songs of the past. They were completely reimagined, and with Deluxe's DLC, we got even more songs to get the chance to listen to. And here's all I'm going to say since I've already made this part longer than it should be. Although the tracks that were added in the DLC weren't the same quality as the base game maps, the music easily takes the cake for the best thing added in the DLC. The quality of the music pretty much stayed the same in the DLC as the base game, so no complaints there.
I am pretty impressed, me too. I didn't know you had it in you to actually present. Albeit, it wasn't a definitive list or anything, but for what it was, it's not bad. Did you just call me you too? Never mind that. I am you after all, so I would hope I have the ability to present like you do. Fair enough. I don't think your list was bad or anything, but I don't agree with it fully. And that just really comes down to preference of whether you prefer the originals or the remixes. I can't really say that the remixes are going to be better than the originals, and I can't always say that originals are better. Good point. After all, it is opinion based. There doesn't have to be a correct answer, which is why I don't mind you not agreeing with my list. Look at you! I think at this point you've earned my respect, so from now on I expect you to help me talk about stuff than just sit there. Finally, I won't be useless!